Welcome back to the question and answer session with Xerostate and Gallaghero7. If you missed our little talk on gameplay and events in Star Citizen now, there'll be a link right above Xerostate if you're watching this on YouTube. Click that link, go back, watch it, and then come back and join us here. Make sure you can join us live on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, where we take questions, and every week is a new cast coming and talking to different things. So love to see you come there at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub. As always, check out Xerostate, twitch.tv/Xerostate, and Gallaghero7, which is twitch.tv/Gallaghero07 or 07. Check them out on their content. With that all being said, let's tackle these first questions. The first question comes from Gin and Tonic, who asks, anyone on the panel know of any current issue /meta/exploit with missiles? I've seen 4 healthy ships today get one-shotted by missile hits. I had that happen with me before we went live. I was doing a 0 to hero, and my Mustang took two missiles and immediately just got ripped in half by it with full shields after that. So, have you seen that at all?
So
desync.
It's very tough to say what it might have been because every situation is different. So there's a bug in Star Citizen where sometimes you jump to a place and there's a ship there, but you can't target it unless you power off your ship and then back on, or if you jump away and come back. It's possible that there was an eclipse or some kind of ship sending, a big missile, Gladiator, whatever, at these ships that this ship was not able to be targeted because of that desync. Possible. Not real likely, but possible. The other one is more common, and the Scimitar size 5 missile has a 50-meter lock range, or 50 or 100. I think it's 50 minimum lock range, which is basically nothing. And it because it's on the ballista by default, so the lock ranges aren't vehicle specific, which they should be. They're missile specific. And so if you take a Scimitar size 5, which you can buy in the verse, or take it off of a ballista, and you can put that on a ship that has the capability for a size 5 rack, like the Ares Inferno or Ares Ion, whatever, or Gladiator or Harbinger, whatever. Yeah. And so you can basically fire this missile from point blank range and get a lock from like 200 meters away, and this missile goes boom, and it's a size 5, so it does a bunch of damage, right?
That's crazy.
It's not really a bug, it's more of a kind of a design flaw with the missile minimum lock range system. Yeah, it's an oversight. And it's kind of like how people used to take the rocket pods off of the Mustang Delta and put them on Gladiuses and stuff. Same concept. So it's just something that CIG has to figure out the ins and outs, maybe change the way that minimum lock ranges are calculated. I'm sure it's planned for the future, but yeah.
I know how CIG will fix it. They'll just make it so you can't buy it, and it's stuck only to the to the ballista. That's how CIG fixes their problems. They just lock it down. They prevent the problem from even existing.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
I'd love rocket pods to come back.
I'd love rocket pods to come back if rocket pods were A, visible, B, didn't do dumb explosive damage that killed components, and C, no, those are the only two things. Maybe had a reliable pip. I don't know.
I don't think.
Good, yeah.
I was just going to say, I don't think it's something that we'll probably realistically see until desync is fixed.
Yeah.
If that will ever be
improved.
A thing. Yeah, because at the moment, although it could have been one of those things, it can also be the way that desync works right now, where if you're going too fast, your shield will lag behind you, and you'll just you'll take face damage.
Yeah.
I roll in my Connie, and I'll be going like 100 meters a second. Like I'll be snail's pace, and I'll take hull damage through shield holes and desync.
But wait, Gal, I thought SDF shields were supposed to completely remove shield holes.
You thought
it's like there aren't any shield holes in the shields. The shields are just behind your ship.
Yeah. There's no shield holes at all. It's a feature.
All right. Next question comes from Shimpasta, who asks, how has the increased player cap affected your gameplay? Start with you on this one, Gal. How has the increased player cap affected your gameplay?
It's affected it, I guess, positively and negatively. having more people in the verse makes it feel a little bit more alive. A lot of the time now, there's rarely a time where you'll go to a main space station and not see people. In Whereas before it'd just be empty. You'd see NPCs, chairs. Yeah, now it feels a little bit more lively. You get to interact with more people. The way it's negatively affected me is that there are a lot more lawful players than there are red players. So doing bounty hunting, a lot of the time those bounties dry up quite quickly. Um, yeah, it's weird how it's worked that way. It'll be 50-50. Like sometimes you'll get a server where there'll just be a million bounty hunters and no criminals. But then sometimes you get on a server and it'll just be like 6 honeypots.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what a honeypot is, that's where you have one dude with a crime stat. You go and like, oh, I'm gonna go get this bounty that's in a bunker, and then there's like dudes with ballistas and like 7 other ships that just come and absolutely roll you. So yeah, it's kind of 50-50. I think it's overall a good thing. And the way it was explained to me is, think about Star Citizens using some of the best servers that you can get. Going from 50 to 100 people, you're halving the number of servers, which is less money of backers used to prop up servers for a game that's not finished yet. So, yeah, I think it's overall a positive.
Zero. How has the increased player cap changed your gameplay?
I would echo what Gal said a decent amount. You definitely have a lot more player interaction. I'm one of those people who I was happy with 75 player servers. I was like, that's a good increase. I feel like that's a good middle ground. And 100, I felt like didn't run so good in some ways. FPS desync was a big one for me, where I could see genuine changes, problems with more of those bugs that are desync dependent, like maybe your ship outfitting, where you choose a ship thing and it like pops out in front of you on the floor. Oh, great! There's my power plant. Awesome. Things like that, I would kind of see as like they weren't dependent on that, but they definitely increased in the how often they happen because of the higher more player connections, that kind of stuff. The weird thing was we noticed where if you put more players in one spot, like we had a big 50v50 battle with Berks, and the server ran great because everybody was in one spot and nothing in the system was loaded in. Because the system didn't have to do anything if it didn't have to render it for any player, because every player was in one spot. So like Bajini Point was just not being tracked by the server, and Port Tressler not being tracked by the server because we were at Everest Harbor or whatever. It was I don't know. I think it's overall a very good thing from a bounty hunting perspective. I do see more bounties. I find myself server hopping less, which is cool. But Gal said too, like there tends to be more people after them. But I would say that's a skill issue, Gal. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, I'm crap.
Get good. Get good.
I don't hide that fact.
And another one that I see is the mission system isn't really ready for 100+ player servers. Because you guys probably echo this in the chat. There's a lot of times where you'll take a mission, you'll go down to a bunker, you'll land your ship, and while you're in the bunker, some enemy ships will spawn above and kill your ship. And that's because another player had a ship bounty mission and it spawned above you. They killed your ship. Well, now you're stranded because that player doesn't even know that you exist, because he didn't know, there was no way for him to know what he was doing. And the mission system just doesn't have the robustness to understand, like, okay, there's a player in this bunker at a mission. It would be unfair of me to spawn a mission directly above his head that will surely kill his ship. So I'm not going to do that. The mission system doesn't take that into account yet. And so I think it may have been a little bit premature to go to that many players with a mission system that often can't handle it. But that being said, there's a lot of
reclaimer mission recently.
No,
No.
I've taken player bounties at reclaimer missions.
There's only one ghost hollow.
Yeah,
There's someone always at it.
But yeah, so that's probably the biggest changes I see. Some positives, some negatives. Mostly positive, I would say, though.
In my experience, it's better most of the time, just because you more people is more interactions, and more interactions is more interesting, and more interesting is a better game. It's always fun to get a bunch of people together, because you can get a group of, before you get 50 people, that's a server. You get like 25 people, that's half a server. And it's like, okay, this is a lot of work. But now you can get a group of 25 people and jump into a server, or you say, oh, I've got 10 people and like 15 people need to jump into server. And instead of it being like, oh, the server is full all the time, it's like, no, it's got 20, 30 slots still open. You just hop out right in, you know?
That's true.
So,
That's another big benefit too. Joining on Friends has never been easier than it is now. So
yeah. I mean, when it's working.
Yeah.
when the back end isn't derped out and it doesn't even give you a friends
true.
list. But,
very true.
Yeah.
I will say, with the server player increase, it's not even like Zero was saying, you know, it's something that could have, it's one of the only changes they made at the time, and it had a huge effect. At first, I was like, oh, hell nah, bring it back to 50. Because the desync and stuff is just, it's really bad. Like, it's made me stop playing because I want to do FPS bounty. It's what I want to do. And, you know, and I'm not, you know, crying. I'm crying a little bit about it, but, you know, it is what it is. It's made desync worse, but it's given a lot of other benefits. So, I mean, we saw a little bit of it, but we didn't see a lot of the shields lagging behind ships, and stuff like that. So,
nice. All right, next question comes from Shimpasta, who asks, do you feel CIG will manually manipulate Quanta?
Hi, Aurelia.
Yeah, Aurelia rated us in there, so she's here. Thank you for that raid, by the way. Almost certainly they will manipulate Quanta. That's the point. It's there to make interesting gameplay, you know. And almost certainly they'll use the event system to manipulate it as well. Like, an asteroid's about to smash into this planet. Get everyone out or destroy the asteroid. You know, get your Armageddon fantasies going on. But yeah, that's going to change what's going to happen. That's going to go to that system, you know, and they'll do that because they want to get more people to go to that system. So
it's a good thing. I mean, like, it seems to me that Quanta's a tool that's supposed to be able to aid developers in creating content. As they said, if you guys have watched, basically they're like, you know, something will be low on supplies. People will start trading their heaps. Pirates will come. That'll reach demand for security. Then you'll have a skill system. And then it goes in that kind of thing. And then there's low demand, and then people stop trading there, and then that's the cycle. But obviously, they will manipulate it because it's only a tool to kind of help along things that are already happening. It's just it's an assistance so that they don't have to micromanage everything, because that was just insanely time consuming.
Yeah. I think I agree. I mean, at some point there's going to be something where Tony Z looks over at this Quanta and he's like, "Oh, there's Quanta NPCs, you know, starting a war because they're all starving." Or whatever, you know, it's just like something is just not right with, you know, how the quality, because it always happens. Anytime you have an AI style thing that's like, it can't work all the time. I mean, Frontier has had this issue in Elite Dangerous. The NPCs actually do start wars all on their own. There's populated systems where no players go, and they have factions in them, and those factions go to war, and they do think the NPCs are doing things in Elite Dangerous. And there are times where like certain things arise in a system where you look at that system, you're like, that should never have happened in our game. Like, it's going to happen at some point. So at some point, CIG is going to have to be like, oh, we're just going to smooth that one out or whatever. You know, so they're going to have some tools to control when they need to, you know, and we're going to have to be okay with that, you know.
But it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to have an entire UEE system be overthrown by a pirate org by accident, because they didn't spawn enough. They didn't spawn enough security to that area. Yeah. They killed all the security. So I
mean, in Elite Dangerous, there was once a independent faction that almost took over the Sol system, Earth system. It was just nobody was just watching it. So they went to war. The independent AI won the first couple of days of the conflict, and the Federation, which owns the Sol system or controls the Sol system all the time, and are supposed to have like an iron. It's the Sol system, right? Like iron grip. And they almost lost until players noticed it on the third day and started fighting for the Federation side and won it. But it was like, that should just never have happened, you know,
it's cool
by itself. Yeah.
But you know, with Star Citizen, like that will be a lore moment where they can be like, okay, now we got to explain why this thing happened and you know, why players were involved.
And Quanta will tell them why it happened.
Yeah, because they can take a look at the tracking that kind of stuff. So
true. Well, this one AI guy figured this one AI was bugged so that he was able to fit 9 million SCU of Laranite onto his whatever,
Yeah.
And now the entire planet of ArcCorp is coated in an extra thick layer of Laranite. So
Yes.
or whatever.
Trader Bob's pathing didn't work, and he rammed another caterpillar and started a war.
Yeah. Now, I think it'll be really cool. This is a little off topic to meet an AI named whatever, have an interaction with him, and then 2 weeks go by, and then you see him again, and he's like, "Oh, I remember you."
Jerry,
there's no reason.
What are you doing? Yeah,
they absolutely could have that in the game, where an AI remembers a player signature that he remembers, and if enough time passes, he'd be like, "I think you're familiar," and then after a while, he forgets about you because it's been 2 months. I think that'd be so cool. It would make it feel like the AI are players in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I get attached to AI already. Have you ever been in a bunker and you see one security guard just start or they're all just going, and then one security guard's going, brah, brah. I'm like, I'm gonna protect this guy with my life
because he's doing his job.
I love this man. He's the only useful one, and then they'll kill him, and I'll be like, "You bastard!" And or
you'll go into those bunkers where you have to take out the you're assaulting the bunkers and it's civilians, or you have civilians in those bunkers, and you see you're like, I'm going to protect this civilian who's just cowering in a corner, and seeing Xenothreat or Ninetales just wipe them out, and you're like, no,
or beating the shit out of the Grimhex store guy.
Yeah,
that guy is gonna have a bad Quanta life.
Everyone is gonna see
every single day.
When armistice zones are removed, he's gonna have a bad day.
That dude is gonna have Groundhog's Day. He's gonna die, wake up, repeat, die, wake up, repeat.
There's gonna be compilations of people finding creative ways to kill him.
A million ways to die in Grimhex.
Getting attached to NPCs reminds me of a story. I was after a player bounty a couple of months ago, and there was this NPC mantis that showed up and interdicted us all, quantum snared us. And his name was Greg with 2 G's. And I'll never forget him. Greg, the NPC mantis pilot, is the reason we got that bounty, because the guy was trying to jump away. He was in a constellation.
He's still alive?
Let's hope so. I don't know.
Let's hope so. He's somewhere.
Since last scene, was alive. Awesome. He retired, and now he's living a life out on a hydro farm.
All right, next question comes from Steve B. Dancer, who asks, what would each of you like to see happen for or to pirate players? I'd like them to be able to pirate NPCs better. More interesting pirating of NPCs. I want to see pirate orgs pull NPC caterpillars out of Quanta, disable them, board them, pull them apart, pull out cargo, put them back in their cargo, and leave. Because if you can get a nice gameplay NPC, PvE experience with pirating, then you'll have players do that for money rather than having to just interact with other players.
Yep.
You'll still have those other things, but that will help alleviate some of the issues that people have, where it's I have to sit here and wait for hours for a ship to show up that may never show up.
Yep.
So
that's why a lot of you go.
I was going to talk about Elite Dangerous again.
You go. Mine will be long-winded as always.
Elite Dangerous has a piracy problem. Piracy is not profitable, and there's no way to really make it profitable. You would do it for the role play, and then you get peanuts on the back end if you can get your stuff to a place where you can sell. You have to deal with too many problems and combat logging and blah, 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 blah to get this tiny little profit. It's really frustrating. This huge pirate organization called The Code was in Elite Dangerous, huge presence. They pirated people all the time. They made almost nothing. And then they eventually quit playing Elite Dangerous because it just wasn't for them anymore, And what happened is a lot of the players who used to be pirates turned into what a lot of people would call griefers, but player killers. They're just murderers, because instead of pirating people, which there's no reason to pirate somebody because you can't make any money, they just kill them. It's just open fire. So Star Citizen needs to take a lesson from that, and this is from somebody who PvPs all the time. Star Citizen needs to take a lesson from Elite Dangerous, its failure on that, and make piracy profitable, risky but profitable, and give us the ability to pirate NPCs profitably. Absolutely, because players want that piracy gameplay, and if they can't get the piracy gameplay, they want PvP gameplay somehow. So they're just going to kill players, and it already happens.
That's so right.
Yep.
Look at Jumptown. When we first did Jumptown, we were sneaking aboard people's ships, stealing them. Don't see it anymore. Now just people killing each other.
It's go nuts. Yeah, what would you like to see 4 or 2 pirates? You're probably the most piratey of the people here in terms of your gameplay style.
I would echo a lot of the things Zero's saying. I mean, like, even if you look at pirating now, you don't want to be like the guy that tried to pirate Zero. Zero will probably remember him instantly. He says, "Hey, give me $1 million or
Oh,
I'll
a million
ram
credits
you."
or I ram you.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "Whoop," when it's the back of the hangar. It's the funniest
It's
clip
the
ever.
funniest clip I've ever seen. For Star
Don't
Citizen.
be like that guy. I think a lot of good things will come for pirating upon salvage. Having NPCs to pirate would be amazing. But for now, we have no way to shut down people's ships. Really, like we can do it. Like for the amount of effort that it takes, you get peanuts. Look at Mongrel Squad, right? They're probably one of the ones that are the real role players that kind of do it constantly, and they have to chain 4 EMPs together. Like realistically, if you're looking at pirates in history, they're like in a stolen galleon or something. Not even a galleon. Like they're in a smaller ship. Like with superior skill, shutting another ship down, it should be hard. But ships are going to blow up less in the future, and they're going to shut off more often. That's just what we're going to have. But for now, it's just like, hey, uh, you scan. Now, what people normally do is you either go out randomly looking for people, which is just like, uh, you're looking for a needle in
Roll
a
the
haystack
dice.
at that point.
Yeah.
Then what people normally do is they scan the ship. They're like, hey, this cargo's worth this much. You'll probably make this much margin. Let us take 60% of that, or you lose all of it. That's kind of like generally the way it goes. The way that smarter pirate orgs and a lot of people that don't stream, because there's a lot of stream snipers in Star Citizen, because it's very easy. The way we normally do it offline is it's the old espionage, infiltrate a big org, wait till they go on a big mining sesh, wait till they're about to transport all of the cargo, and then that's when you hit them. And you do it like as an inside job with an inside man. That's really the only way to do it right now. And it's even then you're getting peanuts. It's salvage. I think will bring a lot of that to fruition. But yeah,
Salvage,
just
physicalized
that.
cargo will help for sure.
And being
So
able
there's
to do
definitely
it
some
with
things
AI,
coming.
such a good idea, dude.
Yeah, some things coming down the pipe that'll really help out. I mean,
Yeah.
and the reality too is like people are always like, well, pirates don't kill, their targets or whatever. It's like, yeah, they do. Pirates have always killed their targets.
Yeah.
Pirates would climb on a ship, and if everybody surrendered, they would kill everybody that they didn't care about, and then they would take other people as, like either slavery, like they would do all sorts of things. Pirates were they were murderers, they were marauders, they were raiders, and the pirates have never in history been somebody who's been like, well, you gave me some of your cargo, so I'm going to let you go. When there's no repercussions,
It wasn't some. It was never some.
they're going to put a bullet in their head.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Black Sails, the TV series?
Yeah.
Oh man, and there's Black Sails is basically, if you guys haven't seen it, it's pirates, like high seas pirates, Caribbean. It's an awesome show. Would definitely suggest it. But there's a part in it where it's like they have a reputation with these merchants where if the merchants surrender, they let them go, and it builds up rapport, right? And that's the only way pirating could work. There has to be trust there, because otherwise people will be like, no, I'd rather die. And that's what you see a lot nowadays. People are just like, no, F you, I'd rather die than give you my cargo. Whereas if people are like reasonable, they build up that rapport, and people are more likely to interact with them, unlike being, you give me 1 million credits or I ram you.
Yeah.
And we saw that there's in Australian servers, when it was 50 and probably about a year and a half ago, we'd see the same people every day, and they'd be like, oh shit, this again, you got me. All right, here's 50K, and they still make a profit. But we get a little bit, and that's just the way it goes.
I think
in Black Sails,
yeah, go ahead.
just there was a pirate crew that were kind of new to the area, and they were like, oh, we brought in all of this cargo, to sell to the new world, and there was just blood all over the barrels, and it seemed like the lady who was running the island was ripping them off, and she was like, no, we have to rebarrel all this shit, because if the new world finds out that, because you have to end up selling that stuff legally.
Yeah.
You have to launder it.
yeah, I was gonna say fence it.
There's so much into
fence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a lot of aspects of Star Citizen which are going to be added to help with some of those things, like reputation. Where if you decide to go absolute bloodthirsty, you're going to be very loud, and so more people will want to take you down because now you have a higher bounty and that kind of stuff. And so the smart pirates will be people who make just enough money, but not too much, and not get too greedy and too wildin'.
Yeah. And you'll need alliances with trade groups. Like there's literally, I mean, like, even as we were talking about player counts before and the amount of people playing Star Citizen, there's way more players than you'd even realize. Like, Twitch is such a small community in terms of Star Citizen. Like, we're talking about like orgs that have 200 people on per day. That we bleed dry, like like raiding them and stuff, or used to. I forget where I was going with it. Wait, what did you just say?
I said that like over time, there will be consequences, and there'll be gameplay aspects that will have those consequences to give you that meaningful. Do I go absolutely ape and just murder everyone on board, or
if you do that, you're never going to be able to trade with anyone. No one's going to trust you. And there's a whole thing called Pirate NATO, and there's trade groups that are legal trade groups that are like, hey, we'd be willing to take cargo off of you for like obviously a lower price, and then trade it for you because you guys are going to be obviously criminals and wanted, and kind of like in that scheme of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is for Xerostate, who asks, it's from Gin and Tonic, who asks, once dynamic server meshing is in, couldn't they do your closed group missions as instance? Once your group enters the mission, then you're on your own instance and but you're still in the verse.
I suppose they could, but the topic of instancing always brings out a lot of hearty conversation.
Spirited discussion.
Right. Yes. No name calling whatsoever. But yeah, so it's possible, sure. It's just hard. It's hard to call a game truly open world when there's a place that a group of people can go where nobody else can for a period of time. So there's some argument to be had there. I think I like it better as a SimPod module, I think. Just for that reason. But I mean, either way, could
becomes
work.
like a private server kind of thing.
Yeah. And allows for people to kind of play it as their own, because
with less desync, and your event isn't causing issues for the main server because you're on your own little private area, and it runs better, it plays better, you get the premier experience, just like when you go into Arena Commander versus shooting people in the universe, right?
I was gonna say as well, because I watch a lot of like Arma videos and those sorts of things, and they always run these operations which are all groups together doing that stuff, and there's a lot more of an interesting banter with players versus NPCs than just players versus players, because people will get together and do dumb things. In the middle of all those dumb things, the AI doesn't care that you're doing dumb things. They'll come and attack you. So it leads to some hilarious moments or some interesting moments, and those sorts of things will actually help out CIG, because it'll help promote the game more to people who aren't used to that sort of thing or looking for those sorts of things. So Gal, you were saying?
Has been my main game for the last 2 months. So.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You going to say something else, Gal? You had another...
I mean, yeah, I agree with Zero. He said pretty much everything.
Okay. Stevie Dancer asks, which ship systems would you want released the most, and why?
Working toilets.
Only if they're shoilets. Fun fact, I think this still happens. The Reliant Tana, while you're flying it with the wings horizontal, which is most of the time, I guess, your shower is always running, and you can see the water outside your ship. Yeah, the shower runs all the time in the Tana. At least last I knew. It's been a while since I've flown it, but yeah, if you guys want to go check it out, it runs all the time. So you've been flying through space, and you see this little like particle under your ship, and you're like, what's going on there? And it's water, the visual of the water. But
that's funny.
Ship systems.
I can start. It's pretty easy for me. Permissions. Multi-crew permissions. Being able to say, I don't trust this person. So you don't have someone just randomly walking in and being like, herp to derp, I now control the ship because I'm here and I got here first.
Well, I trust you to go in cargo area and nowhere else.
Yeah.
Lockable doors, like the MSR had lockable doors for a long time. I don't know if it still does or not. They had some game breaking stuff with the doors in the MSR, but every ship, like the Cutlass Black, right? You have a cargo bay where you can't really do anything, and then there's that door that just opens up for no reason whatsoever. It would be cool to have a button on that was like, now it doesn't open.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be great. Or it only opens for me or something. You know.
Yeah, there's only one ship where you've been able to do that. The Reliant, baby, because you can just put it in vertical mode and the door's closed, and then this cretin that you're letting in your ship that you don't know if is an asshole or not can't come and kill you in the pilot seat. I've rescued so many people, and literally, like, I'd do Klesha runs all day. Like, I'd rescue randoms, didn't matter who it was, because people, I mean, it used to, the missions were bugged, and the only way was to mine, and mining was bugged at that point. Hand mining was bugged. So you had to escape or wait your time. And I'd just go breaking people out, and I'd always use the Reliant because I'd just sit there with the door open and be like, all right, sit in the back and enjoy the ride. And that was it. Like, no risk of people coming and going, blah, or punching you to knock out of the seat, you know.
I think for me, I kind of echo what we've talked a lot about this in our community too, that ship permissions, like the ship permission systems and stuff, is a big one. We've talked about how if somebody isn't in your party and they get on your ship, they have like a 30-second timer or whatever. That's like, you aren't allowed to be here. This is trespassing. So in 30 seconds, you're going to get crime stat 1. Or the owner of the ship is going to get a chance to charge you with a crime stat 1 trespass. Things like that, right? And then you will be considered hostile or whatever. And the owner of the ship will be able to, castle doctrine or whatever and take you out without you getting to, give them a crime. So stuff like that, it's just stuff that makes sense, from a game perspective, because in real life, like if I jump into the back of, Gal's Isuzu truck, and he doesn't know I'm there, like obviously he can't like just, blow me out of the sky. He's going to get in trouble for that. But, in a video game, we have all these systems we can create, like trespassing. These object containers can be used for all of these things. So yeah, just a lot more depth with how ships deal with occupants would be a great one. Yeah.
Okay.
First disagreement. Oh no. I disagree.
Okay.
Get him out of here.
Reason being, I don't know if you guys know who Summit 1G is, and if you've ever watched him play Sea of Thieves, but I hate the idea of a thing showing up saying, "Hey, this person has entered your ship," when you enter them and they don't know you were there. I want to be able to tuck
only
on
if you're in
people's ship.
comm range.
Or
outside
but like,
range, maybe.
Do you really want comms to be able to track people with a god marker? Like in the future, people are potentially like look at Twitch. She's able to hide out on ArcCorp. I think more robust security systems make it harder to break into someone's ship, but don't just give them a button to press to be like, oh no. If that makes sense. Like make locks, but make people have to break through them, or sneak in, but make them able to sneak on. Because sneaking on ships and tucking on them is like, I've done it.
It's amazing.
So many times. It's so fun. It's so fun. And sometimes I'll just, like you don't even kill them because I'm like, I don't want a crime stat. And I don't want to give this guy a crime stat ever. But I know I scared the bejesus out of him when he turns around and his mouse goes. And it's just, I don't know. I think, there's no perfect solution to anything, but I think definitely more robust security stuff, like being able to lock doors and stuff like that. It's like, I can only hide in the landing gear area. It's risky. But stuff like that.
Or some sort of like
look at
onboard
Firefly.
security scanning, like where you have onboard security scanners and you can disable them before they
that's the other thing, right? We saw the FPS scanners in the 2-hour talk that everyone complained about. Dude, everyone was like, don't watch it. They talk for too long. And I started watching it and I was like, I love this. This is so good.
I think it's fine if you watch it on its own as a 2-hour standalone thing, but after
as a part of the thing, it's
as you've watched 3 hours and you're still sitting there, it's like, oh yeah. But
I think that stuff, like making it more intuitive, like making like, okay, you can use the FPS scanner, but there might be a backpack that you can use that you have to sacrifice something else to be able to cloak from that stuff. Stuff like that. Stealth gameplay.
Hacking gameplay comes into mind a little bit too, where it's like, normally if you're in let's say you're in comm array range, the comm array's up, Nobody took the comm array down. You get on somebody's ship, they get a notification, right? That like, hey, there's somebody on your ship, right? Like that just kind of makes sense. Especially because the bounty system in the future, the God marker is going to track the ship. It's not going to track the player in the ship.
Yeah.
It's only going to track the connection of the player to that ship. So if the player leaves the ship, it'll say last seen here, even if the ship leaves. And so that kind of makes more sense, and it could play into that. So then it could be like, okay, well, I have a hacking ship, Terrapin, whatever, right? What's the new one? It's that boarding ship. It's not the Liberator.
The Centurion. No, that's
no.
not it. The
Legionnaire. Thank you.
Yeah, Romans.
So and like a Legionnaire hacks the ship systems to a point where it disables the defense protocols on that ship. So now that ship doesn't tell the owner who's in the ship anymore. You know, and then you can infiltrate the ship. So you can do it from range, a certain range, whatever. Then you have to create systems to like combat that or whatever. And I'm sure they can do that. But just kind of interesting. Like hacking gameplay would be a really cool part of ship security and the anti-ship security, to give people like Gal, for instance, the tools that him and his org use to get into ships, add gameplay, add depth of gameplay, and still keep it challenging for both parties involved. Because just like waiting for somebody to open their hangar door and then sneak onto their ship.
Dropping in is like
it's just like, it's so cheesy, but it's one of the only ways that you can get onto a ship. Well,
that's why I buy F-55s now. It's it's one of the few guns that you can open doors with, because it just shoots at 150 bullets at 1300 RPM. Might I add something else to go with how you said pressing them, give them a 30-second to be like, oh, this person's not supposed to be on my ship. You got to remember that people are always going to abuse systems in games. So if you add something where it can be like someone's not in your party, you can give them a crime stat level 1 for being on your ship. People are going to be like, oh, I'll medical rescue you, dude. Charge them with the crime stat. Someone pops them in the back of the head and they're in prison. Fun gameplay. So you have to really
but the rarity of that versus the amount of times.
Look at medical rescues.
Nah, man, it's not like that. I think using this happens a lot, but using the outlier situation to inform the greater whole is not something that I think we should do too much. I think it would be rare. I think it'd be more rare than it might happen a lot right away, but people would get wise to it. It might happen to you once, and then you'd get wise to it.
And then you have
medical missions could be. It could be like, okay, if
how
you
many
have
medical missions do you see now? You see like none, because so many people.
I see them all the time. I see them all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
I need to play on US servers more, I guess.
But yeah, reputation could help with that, right? There is a semi-reputation system.
Rep is actually
a guy does that a couple of times, and so obviously the medical guy is, the guy who was being rescued gives him a negative rating, so he's got like 0 stars. So like the next time that he puts out a medical beacon, this guy tries to take the medical beacon, or the next person's like, hey, this guy took your medical beacon. His rating is 0 out of 5. He's murdered a bunch of people. Like, okay, well, I'm going to cancel that medical beacon and just do, whatever.
Yeah.
Also, on the point of medical beacons, can we make it like you get one guy, you don't get to cancel it. Like someone accepts your medical beacon from 51 million kilometers away because you were talking shit in chat, and
I would do that to you. I would do that to you, Gal.
Honestly, it's never happened to me. I've seen people say like horrible shit in global chat, and I've done it. I've taken their beacon and I'm being like, not coming for you. Log.
Yeah.
You're in a bunker, you're going to end up in prison. Unlucky, mate. Because they're saying like racist stuff in chat, and I'm just like, no, you don't get medical rescued. Sorry, buddy.
Social punishment.
Yep. And although, that's a rarer occasion, but a lot of the time people will just take it and forget about it. Oh, mission, I'll accept it. And they're like new to the game. They can't even get to Microtech and they're in Crusader. Like,
All right, let's move on to the next question. Velocity Raptor asks, without commenting or without committing new teams to new projects and using only the resources available in game now, what kind of event would you make or host to add something new to the verse? My favorite one that could be done right now is an asteroid, a giant asteroid that comes in. You just say that it's in this area. You have to go to it, and it's like a gold rush thing where like
comets.
Yeah, like a comet.
Sure.
Comet. You have tons of resources on it, and you can strip it. You have like this many hours to strip it bare before it leaves the system. So it's just jump to this point and then, you know, mine it, and then it just disappears after a while. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be realistic in terms of moving.
That's emergent gameplay too, because
You know what's
pirates are
crazy?
going to come to pirate, security will come to defend it.
Yep.
Amazing.
You know what's crazy? You basically described original Jumptown.
Yeah. that was the point.
Literally all you have to do is put a golden carrot on a stick and the Star Citizen community will do the rest.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to create this big dynamic event called Jumptown 2.0. I mean, I know they did it for a lot of reasons, but all you have to do is give us something that we all want, or that a lot of people want, and people will go there and fight over it. Like, that's, I mean, it doesn't have to be that complicated, you know?
Yeah. What about you, Gal? What would you pitch right now if you had a chance with what they have right now? That kind of stuff.
It's hard, like, because I don't know, like, what teams they have. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I follow development a bit, but I'm not like,
yeah,
you know, I'm no space tomato, you know.
Think about what you see in game now. If you could take something in game now and turn it into an event.
To an event. Man. This is like, I don't know. I can't really think of anything that you guys haven't said. Like, if just something like seeing something like an event where, I don't know. Like, literally my brain just goes back to Jumptown, but I also don't want Jumptown to happen over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think events are a good part of the game, but they shouldn't become a core part of the game.
Okay.
If that makes sense, because
game. Yeah,
that's what it is right now. It's you know, there's no incentive to actually do
all the best toys. If all the best toys in the sandbox are here and here and here, it's not a sandbox as much as it is the toys in the sandbox. So you want the focus to be the sandbox, so we can build what we want with the sand, rather than like the best toy is over here and we're fighting over for a period of time until the adults take it away.
Yep.
You know, you don't want it to be
exactly why I want the cargo to be more expensive and more readily available and less margins, is because even aside from trade offers and Jumptown and everything, it'll be something that's constant, going everywhere, and give people something to do everywhere. And it's only a small part of that, but you know, iterations of that.
Okay.
That's
Zero.
That's my
what are your thoughts if you had a chance? I'll be right back. Go ahead and give your answer as best you can.
I think we've talked a lot about conflict zones. So, and I borrow from Elite Dangerous a lot because it's a good game. And if you don't think Elite Dangerous is a good game in its own right, it may just not be for you, but it's genuinely, objectively a good game. You can't make a good argument to say it's not an interesting game. Anyway, they have this thing called conflict zones where two factions will be at war, and it'll spawn these random conflict zones at different places in that system. And you can join those conflict zones and win them. You can you go to the conflict zone and then you choose a faction, and then immediately all the pips on your radar, half of them become blue and half of them become red, and it's time to fight. And the red ones start shooting you because they see that you've joined the other side. So then you can actually clear them out and win the conflict zone and get paid like 100,000 credits or something. And you get paid for those combat bonds as you play. So let's say that like ArcCorp, maybe not in Stanton, but as an example, ArcCorp, Blackjack Security has beef with Hurston Security. And so at Hurl 2, you know, Blackjack Security said, hey, F you guys, and brought in a big group of people, and there's these conflict zones. You jump in, and there's like 20 ships flying around fighting each other, and one way or another, right, you choose a side. I don't know what it would be, a mission or who knows. Choose a side, fight for that side, try to beat the other side away. And I think that'd be really cool events that could just be kind of happening in the verse that I think the combat players would love. Because how many times you'd have 10 PvPers, you know, or like 20 PvPers on a server, and they go to this conflict zone, you know, kind of like the comment idea that Paul had, but this is like a combat version of that. And then another 10 of them join the other side. Well, now you got PvE happening with this like little event, and also PvP happening with this little event. I think that'd be interesting.
And I mean, like, you could do that on the criminal side. Say like Ninetales are like, hey, there's some crazy trades going on and we want to do a take. Go to the other side of the galaxy and cause fucking chaos.
Yeah.
For as long as possible, and you get paid for the amount of time, and you have a limited time, and then people come and try to stop that chaos, and exactly the same thing as Zero said, but like on a criminal side, that could be amazing and done in so many different ways that wouldn't be hard to like really change.
Yeah.
Just like throwing different AI at it, kind of thing.
All right. Next question comes from Velociraptor, who asks, "Gonna make any fleet changes during IAE?" I'm gonna see what the new ships are, but
yeah, not planning on it. But if there's a cheap CCU for $5 or $10, maybe. I don't want to spend too much money, but
any ships?
I have 3 ships that from the beginning of the game I was like, these are the 3 ships I want for endgame, and it was my Heartseeker, the Corsair, and the Endeavor. I've got the Heartseeker and I've got the Endeavor, and I don't have the Corsair. But I also obviously want to see what the Corsair is going to be like. But I can't see myself spending any money. If it would be anything, I'd melt stuff. Like, I mean, I just melted Herald that I was gifted unwillingly. And got an Andromeda. I still wear the orange paint in honor of Anna, but I'll never fly that thing again. Goddamn Herald.
All right. On top of that, Monocle Man 88 asks, "Are you satisfied with the end result of the Drake Corsair?"
I think so. You'll have to fly it, because if it flies like a Reclaimer, no. If it flies like a Constellation, yeah. So the flight model is going to determine a lot of that. Obviously, you look at the guns, you look at the shields, you look at the armor, you look at the carrying capacity, you look at the shape, the design, and it's awesome, right? I love almost everything about it. But
on paper is different to in action.
It has to be some kind of enjoyable to fly, or it's just not going to be that fun for me.
Same as that. I mean, it looks like a Lambda shuttle, bro. I want it. But aside from that, it's like there's ships that are really awesome that I never use. I mean, I have a Starfarer loaner for the Endeavor, and I used it for the first time. The last time I used it, Detox was doing like a convoy thing. It was hilarious. They took like blisters and stuff with all crime stats, and were a convoy going across Hurston, and they had an objective to go to and came back. And I was just like buzzing them with the Starfarer and dying. And the last time I used it was at Jumptown for Zero, actually, dropping in with a Dragonfly, just literally solo, sending it cruise control in and dropping out the back with a Dragonfly and sneaking in. That was Otherwise, I don't use the thing. I mean, it's good like for refueling, but we don't really need that until Pyro. But there's ships that are really good on paper and seem really awesome, and then it's just kind of like, I don't know if I'd really realistically use it over other ships, kind of thing. So we'll have to see.
I have personally and intentionally not followed the development of it. I saw it in concept, I bought it in concept, and I was like, this is my style. I like Drake's style, and I like this. This is fine. So I have no idea if it's good or not. I will find out if it's good or not when I
That's
walk into
fair
it.
enough.
So,
but Gal, we got to go back. Are you telling me that you don't constantly get people asking you for fuel in Stanton?
Nope.
Crazy.
Oh no, I mean all the time. Sorry, I'm always out there, refueling.
They're basically a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know what? It is funny though. Apparently, I don't know if this still happens, but I guess while somebody is fueling, at least at one point, you could change the price of the fuel mid-fuel, so they would accept the charges, and then you would change the prices, and then mid-fuel, it would start charging them way more.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not sure if it still works. But it's worth testing.
All right, next question comes from Qpan, who asks, "What's your favorite ship for daily driver in the verse? We know Paul. We know yours is the Redeemer, Kappa." So this is a story that's going to be interesting for those of you who haven't heard this. I hate the Redeemer. I hate it with fire passion. I think it's an ugly ship. I have so many problems with it, and a lot of people know this. It got to CIG, and one Fairasult decided that it would be a funny idea to suggest that CIG give me an unmeltable, upgradable, basically redeemer.
Yes.
So
I mean, I'm a little jealous, but
CIG did that to me. I have a LTI redeemer that is unmeltable, unupgradable, ungiftable.
I think they should have put like 100 unmeltable, ungiftable redeemer plushies on your account. I hope they do, in fact. It'd be funny.
No, just redeemers, because then you have to scroll past A to get to anything else.
To get them on there.
Oh, that'd be great. And it has to be invincible, so you have to use it because there's it's like
so
the best.
Good. Yeah.
It has 4 size 3 shields or something.
But it moves at a quarter the speed.
So and to top it all off, CIG titled the gift Paul's favorite ship. So.
I hope it's printed in big letters
way.
and it's like a special skin.
It's just enormous.
It's it never believe that CIG doesn't have a sense of humor, because apparently they do.
Yes, they do.
That's so funny. Oh my god!
What happens if someday somebody steals it from you in game? Well, I suppose it's LTI.
I'm not reclaiming it. I'm never reclaiming it. I'm just gonna. I'm
you can have it.
Let it. It's just
crash it into the Central Business District building at Lorville one time, and then just never claim it again.
Yes. I'll wait. I'll wait until like it's the last life on my life for my character, and I'll go full like take the Redeemer in, crash land it into the pad, jump out with guns, and just try to overthrow the Hurston single-handedly. Like it's just going out with a blaze.
One of your faithful followers you see like coming over the horizon, this broke ass redeemer. Hey, we brought your ship back.
We brought your ship back.
Oh, you forgot this.
But with the other question, Gal, what is your daily driver, your favorite ship that you use on a regular basis when you play the game?
I came to love it again. Oh, it's hard, right? Because what I use to what I prefer is different. Like, I use the Andromeda as my daily driver. That's my daily driver currently. But the Andromeda, the Constellation series as a whole is my favorite daily driver right now. And I think it's the best one for new players as well. Buying it in game, like obviously don't just go and spend that much money immediately unless you really love the ship. But it's got triple the HP of a Vanguard. And it's not that slow. You can pretty much escape any unorganized group that doesn't have like quantum interdiction. You can literally face tank turrets at a bunker, and just go with 84 Bs with gimbals and destroy any bunker turret. Literally, bah. That's how long it takes to kill a turret with the 84 Bs on the Connie. It's insane.
Yeah, ballistics are nuts in general.
Yeah. But I would normally. What I used to do is when I had more money in the game and I played more, I ran the Andromeda with people because it had more turrets, and I ran the Aquila solo because it actually has a higher top speed but the same health, and the struts are nicer. So yeah, Aquila would be my answer, ideally.
Okay, Zero, your daily driver.
Well, I fly fighters a little bit more, but especially with the advent of Pyro, I think the Banu Defender is going to be one of the best, not best, but one of the most useful ships. And I think it's one of the most useful ships in the game right now. It's got 2 beds. It's got 2 2 like seats for players to sit in. It's got internal storage space. It's got 4 size 4s. It flies about like a saber. It has size 2 shields. I mean, it's got tons of quantum fuel. It's just one of and it has an insane atmospheric profile. Like you could just boost forever, and you can go like 800, 900 meters a second on Daymar in the Banu Defender by boosting. So you can just get away from anybody. It's awesome for Jump Town. You can load drugs into it and stuff. Like, it's just a really good ship. And I say that objectively. So that's, if I had to choose a ship that you were like, you have to fly one ship for the next week, it would probably be Banu Defender.
Okay. Next question comes from Wahoo127, who asks, question, given the state of planets and weather tech, how long do you think it'll be until CIG has an event centered around a massive weather catastrophe, like an extended blizzard on Microtech, dust storm on Hurston, or hurricane on Crusader?
Hurricane on Crusader? I'd just leave. Just whatever it's going to destroy, just let it happen.
Just let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anytime soon, but I definitely think it's something that CIG wants to do. If CIG could make a massive planet-wide storm as an event, they'll do it because it's cool. And CIG at its core is rule of cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why Microtech couldn't have a particularly bad storm where, some larger outpost on Microtech needs some supply, or even New Babbage needs supplies to keep their stuff warm.
Yeah.
It's a messed up terraforming project. There's no reason why it couldn't happen. So the question was, will it happen soon or?
Yeah. Given the state of it, how long do you think it'll be until they have those?
Okay. I mean,
No time soon.
happen
Is my answer.
Yeah, I don't see it happening real soon.
No.
They don't have the dynamic weather. I mean, there's storms and stuff.
It's not
that
even
kind of
rain on our
planets.
core.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It just the weather system just isn't there yet. I don't think to facilitate that. It would become a dynamic event, which we talked about before. We don't want to put too many of the best toys in the sandbox that CIG can just be like, well, we're going to plop down a weather related dynamic event here. We want those things to happen naturally. To build those natural systems for weather, I think is going to take a long time. Yeah.
Anytime people talk about weather in Star Citizen, I take a trip down memory road before I backed Star Citizen to 2016 Gamescom. The reveal of the sandworm. You guys remember?
Dark times, before the
Connie's
Jedi.
coming down, and then bad weather. You can't land here. It's like, oh shit, you have to land on the mountain, and it gives you a reason to get out of your ship. I want that. I want more reasons to get out of our ship, not just to go and kill stuff, but just like for random stuff. But not tedious. Not tedious. I hate having to go to a shop, and I'm like, hey, I want to get this cool matching outfit, and the shop's like, oh, we only have half.
Yeah.
Like, why would you sell half an outfit? No retailer in their right mind would do that because they want to make money. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my rant. Pretty.
Next question. Nair Bear asks, sounds like the Korea will become the PvP spot. Do you like this idea, or is it better spread out? Zero. Let's hear it.
Zero. No.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna try to give a concise rundown of why it's not a great idea. It'll be really fun.
I'm gonna keep you in the bathroom. I got plenty of time.
It'll be really fun for a few weeks, and then the community will settle in and realize that the only place they can clear crime stat is Security Post Korea, and they will either immediately backspace die, get killed by a station, go to prison because it's faster that way rather than wasting the time to get a hacking ship, go to SPK, get killed anybody. Anyway, it's going to make bounty hunting gameplay extremely boring, I think, overall, like more than it is now. Because right now, if I see a bounty on ArcCorp, I get to think to myself, okay, is he going to try to go to Microtech, Herson, Crusader? What's he going to do here? What's his next play? And how can I outplay him? It happens all the time right now, and it will almost never happen it'll happen, but very rarely when SPK is the only place to clear crime stat, because I'm going to go, okay, his choices are prison or Security Post Korea eventually. Those are his choices. And it's a 50-50 shot instead of is he going to one of four places or somewhere else?
The forced jump town.
Yeah, so I think that it'll be really fun and it'll drive a lot of player interaction for a short period of time. And then it will wear very thin for everyday gameplay. I hope that what CIG is doing is building other security posts like it, and they're going to place them at like either ArcCorp and Microtech or ArcCorp, Microtech, Hurston or something. There'll be more than one, at least, is what I hope. Yeah. But, so that's my take on it. But
there's a fine line you want to walk. You don't want to do only one place because then that becomes the center of, but you don't want to spread it out like they did with Jumptown. Like Jumptown was an example of, it worked in one place and it wasn't super, but you didn't have to go to Jumptown. Aspects of the game did not require you to go to Jumptown. Whereas Korea, you have to go there to hack your crime stat away. That's the only way you can get rid of your crime stat other than going to jail. So when Jumptown was done and they spread out the new labs all over the Santon system, it kind of just decreased over time. Just the interest of it. So,
I think it'd be cool if there was a Jumptown event where all three of them were open at the same time. Yeah. 120 player servers, all three Jumptown locations are open, and if a big org wants, they can try to lock down all three and make mega money. Yeah. I think that'd be cool.
But with like security posts, you need to have more than one option, because then it becomes a gamble. Like, where do I go as a bounty hunter? Do I need to go to this one, or this one? There needs to be some options. Though I do think that one of the things they are doing well is they're trying to make it so that I think crime stat 1 and 2 are just fines. So you
could pay them off.
Which will make it a lot easier for the people who just like, I accidentally bumped into the station. Now the station's trying to murder me.
Well, then they're going to change the. Well, you're still going to get hostility. So, like, if you bump into somebody, your ship goes red, the station's still going to try to kill you.
Yeah.
But that will go away, over a period of like 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, but now even if you have a crime stat 1 or crime stat 2, they won't shoot at you. You'll just you'll just be able to get into the station, land, and then pay your fines, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I think as Elite Dangerous has something like that, where if you have fines, you go to a station and you have a fine in that area. And you'll get landing, and they'll say something to you like, "Hey, you got some unresolved fines in this system. You better pay those off, or you're going to get in trouble." And if you let those fines go long enough, and somebody does like a certain scan on you, it turns into now it's a bounty of however many credits. But
yeah, it's I mean, as an example for crimes that you can commit, destruction of someone else's ship is a CS2. So pretty much, if you're not doing homicide, if you're not doing assault, on a security personnel, you're not getting a crime stat.
So for now it is, but I've heard they're going to change the definitions of what give you different levels. So I would just say be ready for that too. Yeah. I'm not sure what it's all going to be, but yeah.
It's going to be
good.
I mean, like, just a small story. Like, when I'd normally do bounty hunting to make it more fun, when desync was better, because I could pretty much confidently beat out most people in FPS. I would literally, because we have the God marker, I'd go in and tell them to put their hands up and surrender. And if they surrendered, we'd help them clear their crime stat and hang out with them until it's done. And if not, then we'd kill them, obviously. We get a cool firefight. But everyone that I talk to, I used to ask people, like, hey, what do you think about the changes for, like, for Korea, how it's going to be guarded and all that shit? And they were just like, nah, stuff that. I'm backspacing when that happens. Majority of people. It's going to remove gameplay. People just won't do it.
Short term, it'll add a bunch of fun gameplay for like
Very
a month.
Short term.
Maybe
like
a patch cycle.
Events.
Yeah, and then as time goes on, it will remove interesting gameplay that we currently have. I think I'm at a point with CIG where I'm like, please just don't take away the toys that we have to add other toys. Like, just, and I know maybe they have a master plan with it. Maybe for the first patch cycle, they're going to do SPK, and then like the next patch cycle, whatever it might be, they're going to make it so, now there's 3 different security posts that you can go to, and that'll kind of bring a lot of it back and make it more interesting. But
I mean, it could be complicated.
Stations being active, it'll still cause issues with a wanted player going there, because he's still going to be discouraged from going there. And then he may not. He may just want to go to he may just want to go to prison instead. So
the big thing I think ruins it is the God marker, because people are like, you want me to go to Korea and do like an hour's worth of a mission, and someone just be able to see me through a wall, like,
I will add on to this that I like the idea, just not now. I like the idea after Pyro is out, because that is
interesting. Okay.
Because I think that's what the mentality is, because Stanton is supposed to be a pretty high security system. So if you commit a crime, your options are go to jail, commit the crime, get hunted by bounty hunters, or flee to Pyro. So now you have a consequence where you give a chance to escape and still live, outside of the law. But now you have to live in Pyro, which is Mad Max hellscape. So, like, that's an interesting decision to make. But right now, the option is either go to jail or get bounty hunted, and that's not fun. Like, that's just, I made a mistake, and now
prison.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more interesting stories to. I accidentally killed a security officer, and now I fled to Pyro. Now I have to live my life as a Pyro, life in Pyro. There's a story there that you could tell for your own character, your own experience. You had that experience of, wow, did I really have to flee because I screwed up on a mission? That's interesting and fun, but I'm just running around the system, waiting for the inevitable to happen. Isn't that fun? I think it'll be, I agree with y'all. I think it's going to be very interesting. People will love to do it for about 2 weeks. and then it's going to get incredibly boring, and people.
I'll give
will
it
be
1
like,
week.
yeah. Yeah.
No, I think I think it could go a month or two of people wanting.
It'll be
to go
really
there.
fun for people who like PvP. But what
Yes.
about people who just like to mine, or people who just are like, oh, I want to try a bunker mission for the first time, and then
Well,
they
yeah,
accidentally
those
shoot a
people are
guard,
just
and they're
gonna
like,
they're just gonna go to prison.
Yeah.
They're not gonna waste their
What video
time.
did I watch? I watched I don't think it was Leafx. It was, someone did a Star Citizen video, and they were like, I was gonna do a video about bunkers, and they were like, going into the bunker, they were doing the commentary, and they were like, oh, it's really cool because you have these AR markers, so you can see the enemies now, so that if a guy comes along with no AR marker, then you can it's a bad
Shoot
guy,
them.
and he has a sniper rifle with the sight on it in a side of bunker. Crazy guy, absolutely mental. And he sees a guy walk past, and he aims in, shoots the guy in the head. It was a security guard without an AR marker.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? But he didn't have a marker. It's like, well.
Yeah. Also, if you finish the mission, those markers go away. So now you're and the hostiles will still spawn in the bunkers. So you're just like, back to square one.
Yeah, Melchior said relying on the game.
All right.
That's good.
Next question comes from Coffee Gaming. We're wrapping it up. We got about 5 questions left. I'm going to pause the redemptions for now. These are some short ones too. Coffee Gaming asks, it's Halloween season. What's the spookiest ship in Star Citizen?
The derelict reclaimers especially. I think reclaimer probably.
Yeah. I would say there's some unsettling Geiger-esque feelings from the inside of the Defender. Because that is inside of a crab.
Especially when you start to take damage, it starts to bleed internally.
Yeah.
Which is pretty creepy.
Or
or maybe the MSR has definite Among Us vibes because of the pathways. I've actually gotten to claim a bounty by getting onto a guy's MSR and then using those passages to get to the right room to kill the guy. It was amazing. It's pretty rare, but if you had a damaged MSR with the lights off, that'd be pretty creepy in there. Yeah.
I think the scariest ship in Star Citizen is any ship you're getting in that Anna's piloting.
Actually, yeah.
Under the
base.
bus.
That is a good take.
Under the bus.
I.e. mostly the Herald, but
the Herald's got its own little creepy vibes too. If you were standing on a Herald in the darkness and the ship was off, it's small, but it's got a creepy little vibe.
The toilet's just in the open, and there's 2 beds in there.
That is terrifying. Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from a Trouble Magnet who asks, will Paul fly his Redeemer into or in Project Pitchfork? I might fly it into Project Pitchfork, but I'm not flying it out of Project Pitchfork.
Operation Pitchfork has an interesting proposition that came about 8 years ago.
8
maybe
years ago. Yeah.
Maybe longer than that. And I was in a Facebook group for Operation Pitchfork because that was the social media you used that long ago when it was created.
What's Operation Pitchfork?
It's the idea that on day one, or as close to day one as they can, there's a massive group of pilots that are going to try to undertake an initiative to push as far, I think, and this is what it is, to push as far into Vanduul space as possible and try to just take over as much as they can.
Oh, hell yeah. So, we retake Vega, baby. Let's go.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Not day one. Whenever. Yeah. When there's a plan. I can't remember what day.
ASAP. At the end of beta was the
That's
plan.
amazing.
Oh, okay. Last day's beta. Got it.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if it was release. Just on release day, we kill all the Vanduul.
Yeah.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we are so in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the use of the Redeemer, does that mean that we have a mission to stream snipe AstroPub and throw him into a Redeemer with the
Yes.
Incapacitate him and force him to fly a Redeemer?
Force him to fly.
Fly it!
It flies the Redeemer again, or else it gets the hose again,
Harrison Jones asks, do you think we're going to have walkable and drivable cities in the way in the very far future, like small versions of Cyberpunk or GTA cities?
Oh, that's a good question.
Drive.
So
let's say that you went to Area 18 and you could literally go down into the streets and drive around.
I think we'll have some in limited capacities, and I think it'll be more common in more rural landing zones where they'll actually have roads that lead off into other towns.
You just reminded me of Levski, because you could drive all over Levski.
Yeah.
No, I miss it.
I think more like that.
There's going to be other people driving NPCs.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have areas where you can like go to the ground floor or to the bottom of Area 18 for like missions and stuff like that. But I don't think you'll ever be able to drive around. You might be able to might be able to. But...
Clone Wars driving through Coruscant kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't think you're gonna go like if you're going to like what was it like the sub levels of Coruscant. I think you'll have some missions there, but you won't.
You can probably catch a cab or something, kind of.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll see drivable cities in the way that people want. Not unless there's a reason for outside of that city, like a road that's connected to, some far off other landing zone or other town or like a spaceport near far away and that kind of thing. But what do y'all think? Do you think we're going to see drivable mini night cities in Star Citizen?
So probably not the major cities. I mean, they're redoing Lorville, so unless they do it now, I don't know if it'll happen. But I could see there being suburbs. Sounds weird, but that's what they are. Where like the Lorville, for instance, has these it's like 8 garages that you can pull vehicles out of, or 6, 8, whatever. And you could get a car or vehicle from one of those and take your little gray cat Steve over to one of the suburbs of Lorville that are out maybe 5-10 kilometers or something, right? And that I could see happening, or larger settlements. Again, I bring up Elite Dangerous, but whatever. There's large base settlements, and then there's medium ones, and then there's small ones. And so CIG could start creating templates for medium and small cities and plopping them around, like ArcCorp has Area 18, it has Area 20, it has Area 21, it has Area 40, whatever. So they could start doing things like that, where there are smaller cities around that you can be on the ground in,
Have you guys seen road trains before?
Yeah.
So in Australia, basically in the outback, there's truckers that will have, it's not just like a single or double, they'll have like 4 or 5 trailers on their back and just be like hauling it through the outback on a single desert road. Probably unlikely, but it'd be cool to like, I don't know, Qantas in like they bring in resources to like another city, and it's just like long range kind of, I don't know, idea.
Well, because I mean, it would have to be supportive of gameplay. Like they couldn't just make it for the cool factor, because it's a lot of work for just cool.
A lot of development time for something that 99% of people won't.
Yeah,
use
that's true.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
But
because I mean, like cities drivable. What's the point? Like
Yeah. But if they, like what you're saying, Gal, like if you had like missions or part of the Qantas system where it's just cheaper to drive a Steve with a couple of boxes from this point to another
increment weather that can't let you land, like that kind of thing.
Or it's just like the cost of fuel alone is so high.
Just take my tank out for a daily commute.
So yeah. All right. Harrison Jones then asks, how about vibroblades, thermokatanas, possible melee in the future? I don't say lightsabers because I don't want to be beaten in the chat.
They're bringing spears. Spears.
For those of you who don't know, Squadron 42 has extensive melee weapons. They've been talking about it in the monthly report.
The Vanduul are very melee focused.
Well, not just the Vanduul. Human factions in the game will also have multiple melee weapons. Yeah. And they have ballistic shields in Squadron, which like obviously these are things for like AI and like differentiating like opponents. So you get in the corridor and there's a dude with a ballistic shield. You just got to figure out how to deal with that. But there's no reason why that wouldn't eventually end up in Star Citizen for people to use.
I was using a ballistic shield last night in the new Call of Duty at my dad's house, just meleeing people.
I've been playing Marauders lately. There's a ballistic shield in Marauders that's awesome.
Really?
Yeah. The Sonoda was just like walking towards a door and some guy was just unloading into him. And just no damage whatsoever because he had this full size. It was great.
My favorite idea is a ballistic shield and an axe, because I can close the distance between in a hallway for before you have to reload. I can get there with an axe and I don't have to reload my axe. So
Viking.
Old school piracy Viking stuff where
Yeah, I think the axe reload mechanic is in your rotator cuff last time. Just
yeah. But yeah, no, I think
20 shots before you reload for the next 10 years.
I think melee weapons are. I think it's a great idea, but I think when we strengthen melee weapons as they are, because like you have a knife out, you swing it at somebody, like it takes 10 hits to kill somebody, and anybody with a pistol is going to kill you in that time. But the takedowns are insanely overpowered if you can get behind somebody and like do it, because it's just like, and you stick a knife in their chin and they're dead. So they're gonna have to figure out how to work with takedowns alongside melee weapons and how to create, I don't know, that kind of gameplay to work a little bit more
to balance it,
logically.
because realistically, like, I mean, you get in a full suit of armor and run at a dude with an M4 and you dead.
yeah.
Like, and I mean, like, in that same sense, I mean, like, the main limitation for it in medieval times with like crossbows and stuff was cost, and if it was made like, you have a sword, you have a crossbow. Uh, I mean, heck, crossbows were banned by the Pope because they were too barbaric, and
they're OP. Please move. Yeah,
they're ranged weapons are OP. That's just the way it is. And lightsabers are only good because
you can stop ranged weapons with them with magic.
I don't know, but not only that, like, there's some powerful Jedi who can stop lasers, but a lot of the time they can reflect it with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
But that's why a lot of Mandalorians and stuff would use something called slug throwers, which are ballistic weapons, and they would just melt the lead and throw hot lead at the Jedi, and that's the way that they would defeat them. So range weapons OP again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Ballistic shields are a way to mitigate that, but then you don't want to make that OP as well.
Yeah. I mean, there is a reason for melee weapons, and it's a different things like survival mechanics, doubling as tools, diversifying enemy AI. So having people who are coming up at you with melee versus that. There's a lot of reasons
to counter
for it.
melee takedowns would be cool.
Yeah.
The
you guys remember the old CODs?
Yeah, I remember that, Gal.
Yeah.
The challenge CIG always faces whenever they put something new into the game is, how do we implement this without making it completely irrelevant or the only thing that anybody uses?
Yeah.
Distortion weapons.
That's the line they have to walk. It's a great example is why fly a warden when you could fly a sentinel. There's no reason to fly a warden except role play, and it looks cool. But yeah, things like that. I mean,
yeah.
Same thing with the Aquila that I fly. It's like, why fly the Aquila when you can have 48 missiles?
Yeah,
and an extra turret gun.
Yeah, well, yeah, jeez.
That was the last question for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Zero. Make sure you are checking out Xerostate if you haven't already, twitch.tv/Xerostate, and Gallaghero7, twitch.tv/Gallaghero7. Make sure you check them out. And if you enjoyed this, if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and ask your own questions on down below. What was going to say? Also, join us live, twitch.tv/TheAstroPub on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Come join us live and ask your own questions as well. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.